This is your daily dose of all things royal.
You notice him. A human being is made of more than air. With all that bulk, you're bound to see him there. Unless that personage should be invisible, inconsequential, me.
Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. Let me just tell you, I am so livid at seeing how Harry and Meghan continue to keep doing what they've been doing and nobody is putting a stop to it. As you can see up on your screen, these are the 3 last events that Harry and Meghan did with so-called Archewell Fugazi Public Charity. We have Prince Harry visiting the Responsible Technology Youth Power Fund and going on about safety and AI. Then we had the unveiling the Lost Screen Memorial. And then you have this campaign that they have with No Child Lost to Social Media, with some movement with the FTC and the social media platforms. And we're going to get into some of those lightly, but I want to show you how Harry is still very much working with the United Kingdom in order to circumvent the First Amendment here in the United States, and it really does need to stop. Now, I really can't stand seeing Harry and Meghan anywhere near the youth because essentially what they have been doing with them is grooming them into this Marxist ideology, making it seem like they need to be the force that's going to change policy and legislation. But in reality, they're using them as the vehicle to do what they want done, which is curbing speech as well as eroding privacy rights. Look, I'm not opposed to bettering the online world. We need to be protected from predators like Harry and Meghan because behind the scenes, we know what they have been up to in harming people online. That's the problem here, is that we have people like Harry and Meghan who outwardly facing pretend to be the ones who want kindness and goodwill and everyone to just get along in the world. But behind the scenes, they're the ones who are creating the discourse, the friction, and pushing people over the edge. We know that what these globalists want is this cognitive security/control. They want to be able to control the information that you see as well as what you think and what you can say online in order to make sure that the narratives stick. And I say it again, that it's because of Elon Musk buying over Twitter is the reason why Harry and Meghan have pivoted towards starting up this parents network in order to rebuild the online space and making it safe for our children. So you see this stunt that they pulled last week in New York, exploiting more dead children? Well, the goal of that and the goal of this whole parents network is really to reform and push policy here in the United States, taking away and stripping privacy rights as well as controlling information that users, such as children, and it will bleed out to adults on what they can see and what they can consume. And let me get into a little bit more of Archewell's take on this, because when you go to the so-called Fugazi Archewell website and you read about Archewell's safety by design approach in rebuilding the online space, essentially to their liking. In the highlighted section here, it says this can include pushing for transparency-focused policy, age-based policy, privacy policy, dark pattern policy, aka no addictive algorithms, otherwise known as controlling what the algorithm is going to show your children and eventually to the adults. Adhering to safety standards, banning targeted advertising to minors, otherwise banning advertisements that support one political group or another, or putting advertisements that support one political group or another, and educating parents and young people about how tech products are sometimes designed in ways at odds with well-being, because we all know that Harry and Meghan are the ones that know everything about mental health and people's well-being. I'm not disagreeing that there is a problem. There is. The problem that I have is that we have the wrong people, like Harry and Meghan, being the one who are taking charge of this. You know what I mean? We all know that the people that are behind this don't have the best intentions. Trust me when I say that Harry and Meghan most definitely have been working with the UK in concert of trying to get legislation and policies pushed here in the United States to tear down this First Amendment. And how I know this? It's based off of the online safety bill. Pay attention to who the partners are here for this Archwell Fugazi Public Charities Parents Network. You have Five Rights Foundation, but also the NSPCC. Both of these are headquartered in the United Kingdom, with the NSPCC's patron being Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. You're going to see why all of this matters in 1 second. So this post by Mike Benz today caught my attention, where he writes, "State-mandated algorithmic content suppression. I don't want to hear any Brits lecture Americans about our media until they reverse their own government-required self-brainwashing." Well, Mike, if you only knew about what this Brit here in the United States has been doing. Anyway, I look at what he was talking about, and from Reclaim the Net, this is what they wrote. If you haven't heard, the UK is rolling out mandating age verification and algorithmic content suppression. UK's online safety regulator, Ofcom, has presented a new sweeping set of upcoming rules from the censorship law, the Online Safety Act, introducing age verification and algorithmic suppression among a total of 40 measures. The draft codes of practice were on Thursday made available to members of Parliament, and if the process is completed there as expected, the new rules will be enforced from July 25th. Prior to that, July 24th is the deadline for companies to complete and record assessments of risks their platforms may pose to minors. This applies to most online services with over 7 million average monthly active users in the United Kingdom. According to Ofcom, the measures apply to apps and sites used by children like social media, gaming, and search services. The goal is to prevent minors from accessing content relating to unaliving, self-harm, eating disorders, pornography, misogynistic material, violent content, and online bullying. Even though the measures are expansive in their subject and nature, a number of critics who favor an even more restrictive approach, children's charity, the NSPCC, tied to the Archwell Fugazi Public Charity, and Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, among them, want Ofcom to expand this push, particularly in the direction of weakening end-to-end encryption in messaging apps. And if you think censorship is bad now in the United Kingdom, wait till they enforce this. It's only going to get worse. Hence the reason why people in the UK need to speak up. Write to your MPs. Tell them you don't approve of this. As things stand now, the new rules refer to age verification as a tool to prevent minors from accessing services that generate or share content listed by Ofcom, and achieve that by implementing highly effective age assurance. This refers to both services where most, but also some, of the content falls under the harms categories. If platforms that include algorithmic recommendations are considered to pose medium or high risk or harmful content, as defined, then they must have filters that will hide this content. And UK's authorities are requiring platforms to act quickly to remove whatever has been found to be harmful once it has been reviewed and assessed. Penalties for noncompliance go up to £18 million or 10% of global revenue. In case these violations persist, courts could block or limit access to offending platforms in the UK. Ofcom director Melanie Dawes was promoting the new rules in the media by referring to Netflix's fictional show Adolescence as a way to justify the restrictive rules. Like, when you really think about it, the danger that we have here is not the online space. It is the propaganda that we are being fed and the media that is being pushed out to us. So the fact that the UK government is using Netflix propaganda to justify and validate their decision to expand the online safety acts to put more regulations around speech and curbing speech just goes to show that there is an agenda here at play. In addition to curbing speech, they also want to erode your privacy, clearly with using children as the Trojan horse, that once they identify themselves online, they have their information till the end of time. I think it's really important for parents to understand that this is not about safety. These globalists don't give a shit about safety. They want the surveillance and they want the data. And what a brilliant way to do it than use children as the Trojan horse to get in and have people validate or verify their age and who they are with some type of proof or evidence in order to get online. Now, when you really think about that, once they get that data, we all know that kids don't stay kids forever. But now the government has your information and they have been tracking you in what you are looking at online, what you are saying to people. And if the UK gets its way, they want end-to-end encryption broken. So they want to be able to see the pictures that you're sending. They want to be able to see what you're talking about. And the most scary thing about all of this is that the government wants to control the data that not only the kids see, but at some point all the adults see. So they are indoctrinated. So when Mike Benz talks about this state-controlled brainwashing, this is it. You see, Keir Starmer doesn't want another summer of riots. He also doesn't want to have to deal with the graping gangs. So what better way to do this than being able to control the information flow and what the people in the UK get to see? You know, another big concern that I have here is the erosion of Christianity and Islam taking over the United Kingdom. Imagine you're wanting to practice your religion and you are saying things according to your religion that don't align with the ideologies that are being pushed. Can you imagine the police knocking on your door? They already started doing this with the WhatsApp group where someone said something that a parent didn't agree with, and they ended up had the cops called on them. Could you imagine in this state of surveillance that you're trying to practice Christianity and all of a sudden now, because Islam has taken over, you're getting a knock on your door and they're telling you that it's hate speech? I mean, this is where the UK is going. At least the United States has this First Amendment. And this is the issue that I have with Prince Harry and Meghan coming over here and doing what they're doing, because they are pushing for this very same regulation. And we see the effort that Harry and Meghan are making in this space, but nobody's talking about it. We're all talking about Harry and Meghan's failures, but behind the scenes, they are advancing this agenda. And they are in line with advancing it alongside the UK. You can't disagree with me here on this, because what are the odds that Harry and Meghan are working on the same exact thing that Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, is so committed towards, as well as Ofcom trying to push out this in the middle of the summer? These socialists and elitist parasites want to take away America's civil liberties in order for this globalism to work. They want to be the ruling class and telling 99% of the population what you can have, what you can say, what you can do, where you can go, all because they enjoy the power, the money, as well as hogging everything for themselves. But the worst part about it, the reason why they're so hell-bent on getting control of the data and knowing who you are so they can go after you is because they don't want their dirty deeds exposed. I think the biggest thing that these globalists and elitist parasites want to keep under wraps is what they have been doing to children. That's the thing that bothers me right now with Sophie. She is essentially connected to an organization that Harry and Meghan have as their star player in the Archwell Fugazi Public Charities Parents Network. I would think Sophie is aware of Archwell Fugazi Public Charity, and this is what I don't understand. With all the organizations Sophie could give her time and attention to, as well as a spotlight, she chooses one that spotlights also Archwell Fugazi Public Charity indirectly because of this nonprofit charity that she's a patron of. I think we all need to wonder what is really going on and what is the real relationship that Harry has with the palace, because I don't buy that Harry has zero connection or any type of communication with someone from the palace. Look, we really don't know what the true relationship is between Harry and his family. We really don't. I think we have been lied to. I think we've been jerked around. And I do believe that there has been a lot of manipulation on both sides. Look, the royal family continue to cover up for Meghan to this day. And you have to ask yourself why. Why are they protecting this woman and not doing what they should be doing to validate two invisible children in the line of succession? The royal family knew more than they were telling us when Megxit happened. Believe me on this one. I think the most frustrating thing about this is that we all know that Charles is not going to do a thing because he's in support of what his son is doing. And that's why it's so important that we lean on the Trump administration and figure out a way to get their attention for them to see that we do have this threat here in the United States that is threatening our Constitution and our civil rights. And, it's our duty, if you're a citizen here in the United States, to defend it. It's your duty to defend the freedom that you have here and protect it at all costs. And that's kind of why I, continuously talk about this, is that I'm hoping just somebody who has a bigger platform will talk about it and will expose this to a point where it can't be ignored. Now, I know many of you are probably thinking, well, what's the point of doing anything? Because nothing is going to happen to Harry because he is the king's son. The only thing that I can say to that is just keep the faith and trust the kid. I do believe something is going to happen. I really do. But what do you guys think? How do you feel about this now? Are you starting to get and understand what they're pivoting towards and how they are going to continue on their mission to curb speech? I mean, this is a clear pivot towards focusing on the kids. And it's not just Harry and Meghan that made this pivot. It's all these people in this censorship complex that have now all of a sudden saying, oh, we need to keep the kids safe. We need to keep the kids safe because they were exposed. But definitely let me know your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content. But until then, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.